So I'm joined now by Scott Yenor, who is the professor of political science at Boise State University, who co-wrote this article with us. Great to have you with us, Scott. What was it that you found? What is going on, the differences between conservative and liberal women?
Well, we're really interested in establishing that there are two different family ecosystems in the United States. And the base point for that is showing that conservative women have different attitudes towards having children than liberal women. And they also take those attitudes into practice and have different, we'll call it birthing practices than liberal women. And they marry at different rates and at different times than liberal women. And I think the wedge between these two groups is growing as the generations go on. But you can see this even in older generations. The people whose childbearing is done, women aged 45 to 49, the differences between liberal women and conservative women are almost one child per woman different. And so that's a significant difference that if it continues in the direction that it seems to be going, is bound to actually, I think, increase because young liberal women are interested in having children at lower rates, it seems, than older liberal women. So this is a chasm that has opened up in the country, pointed to two different family ecosystems, I think.
And so this is a new phenomenon, is it, that you've come across?
Yeah, I think when you look at such things in 1980, there would be very little difference between conservative and liberal women on this matter, or it would be just a minimal difference. Liberals married at the same rate as conservatives, but since then, the differences have become more pronounced.
So we've seen then in your article that conservative women are having more children, but you've also just alluded to the fact that they want to have more children. Do we know why there's that growing gap between even the desire to have more children?
Yeah, this is an important thing to, I think, recognize in public policy and just in culture, that for many people, this makes a lot of sense. Marriage and having children are linked as phenomenon. So if you're going to have children, you marry. And conservatives link those two things and then do those two things at higher rates than liberals. And that shows that liberals are both less interested in marrying and less interested in having children. So you're going to have a persistent minority, but larger minority of liberal women who are without either of those things. And and that's part of that larger ecosystem. It's connecting those two very important institutions or human experiences together that distinguishes conservatives.
And education levels, has that got anything to do with what's driving the difference?
Yes, I think you'll see that as education goes up, birth rates go down. It's kind of a universal law. And when you isolate these numbers, although we did not do this in the article, it shows that the pie for liberals is bigger when it comes to liberal women when the education level goes up. And the pie for conservatives comparatively is smaller, but nevertheless, they contribute to two different ecosystems.
Interesting. There's also, you mentioned that this is a global phenomenon. It's not just the United States that is experiencing this. Is that right?
Yeah, there was some work done in the Financial Times a couple weeks ago as Lyman and I were writing the paper that showed that this divergence is a worldwide phenomenon. Progressive women, that is, women who identify with the Green Party or the Left Party in Germany or the Labour Party in England, or the Socialist Party in France or Italy, have much lower birth rates and expectations than conservative women who might be attached to populist parties, which are different in all of the countries. So this is a global phenomenon. There's a partisanship, if you want to think of it like that, on how to prioritize family among women in the modern world. There's two camps, and it's not just a United States phenomenon. The United States, I think, is distinguished on this in having a larger uh, percentage, I don't want to call it a majority, but a larger percentage of women in the conservative camp on this question than in other countries. So the United States birth rate is, a little bit higher than it would be in France or England or, I shouldn't say France, Germany, England, or Italy.
Fantastic. And then finally, Scott, do you think that the fact that there are these two separate camps, are the Republicans here in the current administration doing enough to support the pro-family bias in their voters?
Yeah, I mean, there are more things that could be done. I do think that this is mostly a cultural phenomenon. And culture is shaped by laws, and long-term effects of laws, I think, can really affect this. Lyman has written on this for Institute for Family Studies and shows that there are certain things that the one beautiful big bill could have done that it doesn't do. But nevertheless, I think there are lots of steps in the right direction for incentivizing family life and getting rid of penalties for family life. But ultimately, I think honor is more important than economics on this matter. And until you have a culture that honors prioritizing family, motherhood, and wifehood among women, it'll be difficult to move the needle beyond anything close to replacement rate. But it seems to me that among Republicans or conservatives in the United States, motherhood is less dishonored than in other countries, and thus the comparative advantage that the United States has.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Scott. It's really helpful to have your analysis.
Thank you for
Cheers.
having me on.